You know, we often ask, what's in a name? Well, for one princess in this fascinating fairy tale from 1858, a simple compliment becomes a life-threatening curse. We're about to dive into a classic story of beauty, envy, and some seriously powerful magic, where one name, fairer than a fairy, is enough to spark a dangerous, otherworldly feud. Our story begins, as so many of these tales do, with a king. And this king is blessed with a new daughter, a child of such staggering beauty that his courtiers, trying to find the perfect praise, land on a rather ambitious title, fairer than a fairy. A lovely thought, right? But as we're about to find out, a dangerously provocative one. Because this illustrious title, which was only ever meant as the highest of compliments, would turn out to be a perilous burden. It was a name that would echo far beyond the stone walls of the castle, reaching ears that did not take kindly to such an audacious claim.
By the time she's 12 years old, the princess's beauty is the stuff of legend. It's almost divine, but her fame, and specifically that name, is seen as a profound insult in the fairy realm. I mean, just imagine it. You're a fairy, and you hear that a mere mortal is being called fairer than you. It's not just irritating, it's a fundamental challenge to your very being, and they become absolutely obsessed with getting revenge.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the contrast between our two main players. On one side, you have this young, innocent princess, completely unaware of the trouble she's in, and protected by powerful magic. And on the other, you have the ancient queen of the fairies. Time has worn her down a bit. She's even earned the unflattering nickname Nabot, which means dwarf. But don't let that fool you. Her power is old, rooted in centuries of cunning and dark arts.
Nabot, absolutely determined to punish this rival beauty, travels to the castle herself. But her own magic reveals a frustrating truth. The entire castle is enchanted. No one could be harmed or taken by force as long as they stayed within its walls. So, a direct assault was out. A new, far more insidious plan was needed.
So, she gets clever. In disguise, Nabote cunningly works her way into the princess's inner circle, becoming her most trusted companion. And then she simply waits for the perfect moment. One day, during a game in the garden, Nabote casually opens a small, forgotten door that leads just outside the castle's protective boundary, all while putting on this playful act to keep everyone distracted. And then the trap was sprung. All at once, the wicked Nabote cried out, pretending to be struck by a sudden illness. The next moment, she collapsed, as if swooning, just across the threshold of that open gate. The princess's attendants all rushed to help, of course, and Fairer, driven by pure compassion for her so-called friend, doesn't even think twice. She runs to her side, and in doing so, crosses the one line she was never, ever meant to cross. The moment her foot passes over that fatal gate, the trap is sprung, and the whole game changes. In an instant, Nabote is on her feet, her illness a complete sham. She grabs the princess with a surprisingly powerful arm, and, with a quick wave of her wand, summons a strange car made of ebony, drawn by two giant winged moles. She throws herself and the captured princess inside, and the whole thing shoots up into the air with incredible speed. As they fly over this desolate, shoreless ocean, the princess's world is completely shattered. The woman she trusted reveals her true form and speaks these absolutely chilling words. For Fairer, you have to imagine that the terror of this betrayal was even worse than the terrifying journey itself. The car finally landed in the courtyard of a magnificent palace, but its stunning beauty was just a thin veil for the cruelty that was waiting inside. Fairer was stripped of her beautiful clothes, dressed in rags, and led to the place that had been prepared for her torment. Her first task was a masterpiece of futility. She was led down 1,000 steps of black marble into this vast, dark gallery lit by a somber, alarming glare. The walls were covered in cobwebs, and her orders were to sweep them clean by daybreak. But the cruel magic of the place was that the more she swept, the more the cobwebs multiplied. It was hopeless. As Fairer weeps, completely broken, a brilliant light suddenly fills the dark gallery. A handsome young man appears, introducing himself as Freydis. And here's the twist: the son of her tormentor. In this classic fairy tale moment, love emerges from the very heart of cruelty. He confesses he's fallen for her and, with a single touch, turns her impossible task into a triumph, transforming the endless cobwebs into shimmering cloth of gold. Before he leaves,
Fratis gives her a golden key. Back in her cell, she discovers she's not alone. There's another captive princess, Désiré, facing her own impossible task. And this is a really key moment for Fair's character. Instead of just celebrating her own rescue, her very first thought is for her new friend. She declares that if Fratis truly loves her, his magic must help Désiré too, and instantly the acorns transform into perfect pearls. Her compassion, it turns out, has its own power.
Well, you can imagine their success only enraged Nabote. Her cruelty had been thwarted, so she devised 2 brand new tasks, each designed to be utterly impossible, hoping to finally be rid of the 2 princesses who dared to defy her power.
Désiré was sent to the seashore, commanded to write indelibly upon the sand. Fairer was taken to the foot of Mount Adventurous and ordered to fly to its peak to retrieve the water of immortality, given nothing but a few feathers and some wax to do it.
But once again, Fairies intervenes. For Fair, he transforms into a magnificent eagle and simply carries her to the summit. Then, he flies to Désiré on the shore, but instead of writing on the sand, he summons a great wave that leaves behind a solid bronze tablet, magically fixed in place, with these beautiful, poetic lines inscribed upon it, a permanent testament to a love that defies even the elements. Furious at being outsmarted yet again, Nabote devised one final, cruel trial just for Fair. She was to be sent into the Wood of Wonders to hunt and capture the silver-footed hind. This was an adventure from which it was said no one had ever returned. And this is where you really see the layered cruelty of Nabote's plan. The hind isn't just some animal. She is another fairy queen, suffering under a curse that can only be broken if a beautiful woman hunts her for 10 days straight. It's a perfect trap. Success seems impossible since so many others have vanished trying, and failure means Fairer is lost forever in the enchanted woods. For days, Fairer is locked in this grueling chase, always getting close, but never quite able to catch the hind. Each night, she collapses in total exhaustion, only to wake up on a soft bed of moss with fresh fruit and flowers laid out for her. It's the unseen hand of Fratis, of course, protecting her from the worst of the trial, until on the 5th day, he can finally appear with the secret to completing her quest. Following his instructions, Freyr succeeded. She freed not only the hind, but 15 other young women who were also trapped in the wood. And the hind, restored to her true form as the rightful fairy queen, led them all back to Nabote's palace to confront the usurper. But as they arrived, they stumbled upon a grim celebration. Princess Désiré was bound to a stake, about to be burned alive. Fair cried out in horror, and at that very moment, Désiré vanished. And in her place stood a handsome young man. Fair recognizes him instantly. "It is my brother!" she cries. It turns out he is also the lost love of Princess Désiré. He had used magic gem to take her place on the pyre, making her invisible and sacrificing himself to save her. And so, with justice restored, the rightful queen reclaims her throne. Nabote is banished, and the lovers are all united. The story ends with a classic moral, that innocence will ultimately triumph over the misfortunes it faces, that envy and jealousy only serve to make that innocence shine brighter, and that often, the justice of heaven makes people happier for the trials they've been forced to endure. It's a timeless message, showing how even in the darkest of tales, compassion and love have the power to break any curse.